Welcome to Podnutz, Computer Repair Podcast, episode number 184. I'm your host, Jeff Halash. I'm joined today by Ian Alexander from RepairTech. How you doing, Ian?
Good. Thanks for having me, Jeff.
Good to have you. Love that picture behind you on the wall there. I know a lot of people that are watching this or listening to it in audio version can't see that, but it's a cute little robot.
It used to be our RepairTech's logo.
Oh, okay.
And
Awesome.
that was from our launch party, which was also my birthday. So people drew that and
Oh, cool.
it. Yeah.
That's a great piece of nostalgia to have.
Yeah. Somebody spilled coffee on it though, so it kind of
Can't see it from here.
has a stain anyway.
So, Ian, what's going on with you guys over there? Obviously, you guys have come out with Kabuto. You've been doing that for how many months now?
Well, Kabuto officially launched in August of 2015, but it kind of reached its maturity only recently, where it's had enough features that people could start using it as a full solution.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we've released a ton of stuff. I think the last time I was on here, we were on the precipice of releasing managed antivirus. Is that right?
Right. Yeah, we hadn't had that yet. There was a couple names that were thrown in there. I don't think you were sure which way it was going to go at that point. And I think you ended up with MC Soft.
Yeah, we did. We talked to a lot of our customers, and by and far, the favorite was MCSoft. So I think it was between Bitdefender and MCSoft and one other company, I can't remember. And people just really like MCSoft. And so we got in touch with them. They were really easy to work with, really great. They accommodated us in a lot of ways during the development process, and it's just been a really good relationship. So now we have managed antivirus, and that's awesome. People are now able to sell MCSoft and manage it through Kabuto. That's been great. We also are about to launch patch management, which will be really cool. So that'll be third-party apps. Eventually, we'll get Windows updates in there as well. So that's exciting.
So the patch management right now is going to be third-party patch management?
Exactly.
Okay.
It'll be really easy. You literally will have a list of apps that you can manage. You just check which ones you want, and that's it.
Oh, awesome. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, and that'll just be baked into monitoring, so there's no extra charge for it.
Okay. Now, what was the reason that a lot of people right now are really liking MCSoft? What were some of the things that they said, hey, this is the best thing out there right now that I can use for my customer base?
Mostly products quality. I think that MCSoft, first of all, they use a combination of Bitdefender's definitions, and Bitdefender always wins all the competitions on AV comparatives and all that stuff for detection rates. So they use their definitions, but they combine it with really good heuristic and real-time detection technology. So you're getting a lot of stuff that normally you have to pay extra for with other antiviruses. So you get surf protection, you get file guard, which watches all the files on your machine for changes. So if some antivirus or some virus wants to change, it's I guess the way that it works, MCSoft will easily detect that. So it's got just a really good malware prevention and detection capability. Not only that, but it's not just an antivirus, it's also an anti-malware solution. So it's kind of like if you had an AVG or something combined with a Malwarebytes.
Okay.
And on top of that, their user experience is really good. That's one of the things that I think sets them apart. There are a lot of good antiviruses that will help you prevent malware, but I think the UX is really, really good for MCSoft.
Okay. No, that's fair. I was talking to Max via email, obviously, when we were setting this up, and I basically told him, I said, yeah, I have not checked out MCSoft yet. I need to, because I hear a lot of people in the forums, in different groups, talking about it. And it's one of those things where you go, I test out antiviruses here and there, right? And you're like, okay, where do I put this thing? And if it crashes that machine or does something weird, then where can I afford it? But for the most part, I think these things are great, that somebody is always innovating and coming up with something new that people really like. And I think the like what you said is light. They like it light on the system. and they like it to do a little more than just the AV portion, because you've got to have all those other things in there. Let's face it. The reality is, and I don't think a lot of people have realized this, and we've talked about it before, but antivirus or viruses are not as prevalent today as they were even 5 years ago. You're getting more and more malware, and we can lump this thing, and I know a lot of people talk about it differently. Malware is anything from a virus to a potentially unwanted program and so on and so forth. But the reality is, the things that really mess up your system, the potentially unwanted programs basically sit there and they bother you, and then they hog your resources, because once you get one, they seem to bring their whole family and sit on your computer and phone home all the time. So the next thing you know, Internet Explorer is not working, or Google Chrome or whatever, and it's just it's a big mess.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree, and that's what's cool about MCSoft. They're actually a really innovative company. They even have crypto locker and all that stuff, preventative solutions built into MCSoft. So that's one of the reasons why I kind of trusted them. We don't have any plans on adding any other malware scanners or anything, just because I'm confident that if new things arise, they'll make technology to combat it.
Right. They're right on top of it. That's cool. That is really cool. I'm okay. So now my interest is peaked. I'm going to definitely try them out.
No pressure, Jeff, just because we're friends or anything. You don't have to do it. It's not.
Yeah, I know. It'll just go on a system I got sitting here that I don't really do anything on. No, but again, I can see a lot even from a system that's sitting off to the side by surfing and the different things that I do. Now, again, I'm not a great use case scenario because my network is so locked down anyways. I could run with no antivirus and I'd be fine. But for my customers, we know that they click on everything all the time, and they actually have to have that protection, especially some sort of a web protection, which it sounds like MCSoft does a lot of that, where it's going to monitor things that are coming in, drive-bys and all that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool. So that's the big thing with there, man. Third-party patch management, that's another great thing that I know a lot of people really are probably looking forward to, because those are probably the little things that are so irritating, because we can't remember, what does this customer have? Do they have Java? Do they have Adobe Reader? What has not been updated? And you get the questions all, hey, should I update this? And if you don't have that in place, then you're answering these phone calls all the time, which take a lot of time, where if it's automatic and Kabuto is monitoring it, hey, it's a win-win. You can just check your logs and go, yeah, everything looks good.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny. There was a technical article that was written about Kabuto and was released yesterday. And it was a very positive article, review, I guess. And the only thing they said is it doesn't have patch management. And I'm talking to Garrett, our developer, and he's like, well, we were going to launch that like today. So it's kind of, I mean, I'm glad they wrote an article, but if they had waited like 2 days, it would have been there.
Isn't that the way? Technology is moving so fast, though. It's like you get this stuff out so you can get the information out. But here's the thing. This show goes out to a good amount of people, and a lot of people are going to find out, hey, this is the next stage. Here's what's going on. And every time you guys have come on the show, you've always shown that you're moving forward with something. You're adjusting things. I think one of the other things we talked about a little bit too was talking about TechSuite. You're talking about a reboot and a total rewrite of TechSuite, right?
Yeah, and it's been going really well. It's been going surprisingly fast. It's funny. The existing TechSuite is based on kind of an older technology, and it's a little bit more of a pain to write new features for, and it's a bit slower and whatnot. So the hard part for us when we're completely rewriting it is coming up with reimagining the way that we want it to work, right, based on our experiences with old stuff and what customers are telling us. And issues we've encountered in the past and extensibility for the future. So we spent most of the time actually just talking about what a reimagined tech suite would be. And when we figured that out and really nailed that down, actually building it hasn't taken that long. And we have a command line version that works. And what we're doing now is adding on a user interface. And then we'll be in beta. We'll ask some people to try it out. And then eventually that'll take over for the existing tech suite, and all the old stuff won't be there anymore.
Nice. Now, how's that going to help as far as, now you said with the older technology that you were using, it was hard to update certain things. So this is going to bring you into the, I guess, the future software that you can actually add things in a little bit easier and kind of grow and adapt it.
It's so many things. First of all, it's going to be way faster. It's going to be way more stable. It's going to work way better on your operating systems. All the tools that we're going to include in it are far more deeply integrated. So right now, when you use Tech Suite, it automates things, and that's great, and you get a report at the end. But in a lot of ways, we don't have deep enough relationships with the companies who make a lot of the software. So what we've done this time around is developed way deeper relationships with antivirus companies, for example, and built in much better technology for those tools. So you're going to get less tools overall that are much more powerful. And that's going to simplify the process for everyone so that you're not stuck having to figure out what you want to run. You're just going to say, okay, I want to clean up this computer, or I want to remove malware, and everything's going to be taken care of for you. So for example, one of the issues people ask for, this is a good example of old technology versus new technology. People kept asking us for a summarized malware report. So you run 6 malware tools and you get 6 different logs, right? That's the way it currently works.
Right.
Okay, what we're going to be able to do this time is, yes, you'll get the logs for each one, but you'll get a summary for each one. And in addition to that, you'll get one summary section for all the tools you ran, and anything that you need to know will be in that summary section. So it'll say, found 6 malware files. And you know that of all the different malware scanners you ran, in total, there were 6 pieces of malware found. And that's something that we weren't able to do before. That's just not, it just wasn't possible in the old framework. And now we can add all kinds of features like that.
That is awesome. Yeah, that sounds really good. Yeah, a lot of the tools, when you're talking about, especially when you're talking about malware removal, I know a lot of people, and I back in the day, I started off this way, where I would throw everything plus the kitchen sink at it to solve the problem. And what I had figured out over time was, yes, my machines were like super clean and the customers loved it. And most of the comments were, man, my computer's never run as good as even when I brought it home from the store until I gave it to you. And I'm like, yeah, cool. But we're looking at scans and different things back then that would be well into almost the 16-hour range a lot of times.
Right.
And I've started to realize that a lot of the programs I was throwing at it were basically redundant. And so I'm wasting scan time on the same type of things, because it's hard because not one thing does everything you need it to do. So when you guys have this product that pulls everything under one umbrella and says, okay, we're going to run all this stuff, we're going to run it automatically, we're not going to have to touch it, and it can just run through. I can walk away, go get a donut and a cup of coffee, and come back, and pretty much within a short period of time, it's done.
Right.
And you can turn that thing around very, very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing about this new rewrite, is because we have this better framework for adding tools and automating tools. Every tool so far that we've added is completely automated. There is literally no manual interaction in any of the tools we've added so far. In the existing TechWaru, there are many automated tools, many fully automated tools, but there are also a lot of manual ones. And we're really excited to have a completely automated checklist. That'll be really cool. And it won't be automated in the sense of like having an auto IT script that like clicks a button for you. It'll be like in the application. And you won't need to like look at another screen. It'll all be within this window, and that'll be the only thing you need to run.
Very cool. Now, I noticed one of the things that happens when you're running this tool, if you don't have all the files downloaded for different programs and stuff you're using, it's downloading it from the internet. And have you guys found, and I'm not sure how different techs use it, have you guys found that a lot of people will maybe keep their software updated? Or because I found it to be about the same both ways, it seems to be, that it, especially with my connection here, the downloading is just as fast as running it from a file that I've already downloaded.
I would say it depends on the tool.
Okay.
Some tools need to be updated, more often. That's not an issue in this new version anymore. We have basically made a system that allows us to know when an application is out of date, and then we update it on our end. So the application itself will be able to say, like, this application that you have locally doesn't match the newest version over here. Okay, go download the newest version. So you never have to worry about that anymore.
So what you're telling me is that I don't have to spend, because I have these little things that I name my days that I do things. And Tuesday is Tool Tuesday. And I don't know why I just came up with that. But so anyways, I have it in my calendar that I have to sit here and I've got to update all my tools with all my different systems that I use.
Yeah, no, so Tool Tuesday doesn't exist anymore, Jeff. That's not going to be a thing for you anymore.
I'm sold. That's great, man. No, that's awesome. And a lot of people are looking for that type of automation. I think is that they don't want it, because that's really what takes. If you really look at the things that take a long time, if you're not doing it on the fly and you're trying to do it ahead of time, it takes time to let all that stuff download and then go into the folder, move it over to a USB stick or a disk or whatever you're going to do. And I just think that if you can have something that it's basically hands off up until the point that you need it, I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this rewrite. It pretty much across the board, regardless of which feature or, any part of it you look at, everything is going to be more powerful because we're using a modern technology, and because we've reimagined it from the ground up, everything is just simpler and better. I don't really know how else to say it.
Now, so as far as the old technology and new technology, what is the big difference for the way you were doing it to the way you're doing it now? Obviously, you're doing a rewrite. And are the tools that we have nowadays even better than what you guys had a few years ago to be able to do this?
Well, so if you recall, many years ago, in 2011, we inherited some code that was basically the basis for TechWarrior. Okay. That code was already kind of outdated. I mean, it was a head start for us, so we didn't have to start from scratch, and that was great. But it was based on, at the time, kind of old technology. Now, 5 years later, kind of old technology is really old technology. And look, it still works, obviously. But it has limited us in a lot of ways. As newer versions of Windows have come out, there have been a lot of things that we have been hesitant to implement just because it just didn't make sense. So I'll just give you an example. The old technology, visually, we were very limited as to how sexy we could make it look. A lot of the different effects that you see in modern applications, if you go look at MCSoft, for example, it is a very sexy application. It looks nice. We just couldn't do that with the old technology. It just wasn't possible. With this new technology, it's done in C# and in Visual Studio like 2015 or something. And it's just got all the bells and whistles. If you want, you know, this type of animation or something, you can have it. And it's more a matter of like figuring out how to do something rather than figuring out if you can do something. So cool things that we couldn't do before that we had imagined doing, now we can do.
So would there be any way to get, if I'm running this program, to get Yosemite Sam to jump out of the screen and have a bunch of viruses running all over the screen while he's just pow, 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 pow?
I mean, Jeff, did you like Clippy? Because like that's kind of similar to Clippy.
I did. I thought Clippy excited me so much when the dog probably excited me more, but I actually did like Clippy. He was cute.
Did you see our April Fool's joke?
No, I don't think
many people saw it. We only did it this year. If you went to our website, there was a Clippy thing on our website, and if you clicked it, it like reproduced itself. So eventually, it was just everywhere.
Oh, that would have been so awesome. No, I totally missed that.
Yeah, to be honest, one of our developers did it, and I didn't even know about it. So it kind of surprised me too.
Oh, that's really cool. Now, as far as obviously one of your guys' claims of fame has always been the reporting. And you said you're going into now more of a summary. So are you going to be able to select between what types of reports you want as far as what you see in the end result? So even if you don't want the full reports from that product, you can just go, I don't even want to see those. I just want to see a summarized report. That's all I want to see. Is that going to be adjustable?
Yeah, totally. And it is today somewhat. You can today customize. You can make like what are called report layouts,
okay.
which allows you to hide or unhide certain information. But it's not as, I would say the big difference in the reporting is going to be in our ability to intelligently show you data from the tools you ran. Today, we can't really we can't really combine the data in a good way.
Okay.
And that will result in way better reports for you. So if you want like a customer facing report that literally just says all the things that were wrong that you found, that's not really possible today with the reports. But it will be with these new ones. So yeah, you'll be able to customize them, not in a much different way than you can today, but because the information is better, it will result in more kind of what you're talking about.
Well, I think that's what a lot of people really want, is they want that customer-facing report that they can go, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, here is what we have been doing for the last month. Just so you know, if they ever have a question of, why are we paying you? Well, because here's what we're doing, and we're taking care of business. Now, as far as the break fix avenue of that, I've never really had, especially residential customers, hey, can I see a report on exactly what you fixed? They just go, hey, is it working? But I can see for businesses, you got them on a retainer. You talk to them on a regular basis. Maybe every once in a while they want to see that report where they can go, yeah, this person's actually doing something. That's why we're up and running every day.
Right. I think even when they don't necessarily, when they don't mistrust you, but they've never seen you repair their computer before, they don't even need to read it, but showing them like a printed report with your logo on it just kind of makes you look legit.
Right.
And it makes you look organized and professional. I think a lot of people are skeptical of computer repair shops in the same way that they are of auto body shops. And just having something like that you can show them, even if it's just not even something they're reading, but something you point to while you're explaining,
right,
that can help.
Well, I think a lot of times too is, I think that stuff is very important, because a lot of people that work out of their homes or maybe go on site all the time, just pulling out that piece of paper with your logo on it, say, hey, fill this out, here's this, here's that, and getting them something back in the end, emailing them whatever type of report they need in the end, invoices and all that kind of stuff. That really does go along. People are like, oh, this does seem more legit than back in the day when I just said, here, give me your computer. let me work on it. And here you go. Give me my money. Do I get a receipt? You don't need no receipt. Give me my money. But that, again, computer repair is a little bit different field than a lot of other professions. I don't think it should be, but it's one of those things that for some reason people just, not everybody, but a lot of people don't want to pay properly for it. And I always tell people, I'm like, listen, I don't care where you live. You can live anywhere in the country. If you can get a plumber or a HVAC guy or gal to come to your house and not write them a minimum check for $125, I'm going to move there. Because it doesn't exist. You know they're going to come there. You're going, whether they do anything or not, they're going to expect to get paid something. And it's not going to be a low rate, I can tell you that. So, and I think computer repair should be the same way.
Combo fix.
What's that?
People try to run it themselves and just run a combo fix. So, you know,
oh Lord.
The worst case scenario is they really nuke it and then they bring it to you anyway.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, funny you said that, because there's still a lot of shops that still do the old nuke and pave as their solution, like almost 100% of the time. And
yeah,
I laugh, but you know, that's just me, because I'm a jerk like that.
No, I really don't like that approach, though.
No, it's to some. I guess here's a scenario, and this is what I've shared with people before. If you're a turn and burn shop, in other words, you just have a customer that's going to come in, you're going to take care of their thing one time, and they're going to go on their way. Everybody's going to be happy. You're still going to do a good job, whatever it is. That's fine, because you're looking at it as a revenue. Here's how much I'm making. This is a good ROI, return on investment, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to do that. If you're in the business of actually creating a relationship with your customer, that's a whole different scenario. And so there are times when I have to nuke and pave? Yes, but it's very rare, because most of the time I can get the problem fixed in a half hour to 45 minutes. People are, no, there's no way. Well, yeah. If you know what you're doing and it's not too mucked up, yeah, you absolutely can. So for a lot of times, people still take that. Nah, we're going to nuke and pave it. That's the only way we can be sure. And I don't agree with that. And that's how I started out. And then I grew up and became an adult. So I know that'll probably make some people mad. And I say it halfway in fun, but halfway in truth too. So take that for what it is. Ian's over here cringing. No, not. No, it's
fine with me. I don't like nuke and pave either.
So yeah, there's a lot of great solutions out there with some of the products you guys got coming down the line. I think being able to do this a little more efficiently and being able to have that better reporting is definitely going to help people out. Do you see a lot? I mean, obviously, a lot of people are using your tool, and what's some of the feedback you're still getting on how they're using it, what they're using it for, where it's helping them, and all that kind of stuff?
Some of the more interesting stuff recently, because Kabuto's changed a lot in the last couple months, has been how people are selling it, I guess. It's kind of been interesting. Some people are just using it to kind of bridge the gap between break, fix, and managed services, because it's such an easy service to start selling. Like, there's no upfront cost really. Like, there's a free tier, so it's just very easy to approach and start selling.
Right.
But some people already have managed service packages that they sell, but because of the pricing for those RMM solutions that are included, a lot of people don't want to pay that much. And so what they're doing is using Kabuto as a lower tier managed services package that's a little bit less feature rich, which I think is really interesting, because we did always want them to go after residential people for it. That's kind of what we designed Kabuto for is going after the residential market where people weren't before. But we didn't really anticipate that they would use it for small business as a bridge for managed services.
That actually makes sense.
Cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. So now, have you gotten any feedback on? I know in the beginning when you guys had started talking about Kabuto, one of the things that came to people's minds was something pops up to say there's something wrong with the system. Call your tech, right? And a lot of people are like, well, how are people receiving that? Because it seems like it's better than as long as you educate your customer, it seems like they're okay with that. Hey, this pop-up's going to come up and let you know something went wrong. Give me a call, and it kind of puts that reminder in there, right?
Yeah, people actually really like it. When we first were doing customer development to learn more about what people's concerns were, this is before we actually built the product, a lot of people said, well, we train them to not click pop-ups because that's what viruses do. Right. And so to mitigate that, what we did is we put your logo there, we put your contact info and address. It's all like right there on the notification. And we advise people to tell their customers, this is the communication tool that you're supposed to use with us. If you have any questions, you right-click this thing and you click create request. And people are using it, I think, a lot more than a lot of shops want. You know, they get a lot of requests about the silliest things. People have sent us the text from requests, and some will just say, hey, I just wanted to thank you. You're an awesome tech and my computer's great. And so they're using it in ways that are not really even service requests. They're like using it to just talk to the tech.
That's awesome.
That was kind of cool. Like
that is really cool.
Just to thank them or, you know, whatever, let them know how the progress of something the tech told them about is going. So just everyday conversation, and that's been cool. On average, we've seen that if you install Kabuto on a device and it stays installed, you get a service request within 2 months. So that's been cool. And, you know, if you just have the lead generation part, right, the $119 a year plan, you know, that basically pays for itself in like possibly one call.
Right.
So pretty straightforward.
That's really cool. That's a great idea. Yeah, install it. Now, are you finding out that techs are just installing it? They're not charging their customers anything. They're just kind of putting it on every machine that comes into the shop and letting their customer know, hey, I'm going to put this on here. If you have a problem, I'm going to give you a little pop-up that says, hey, give me a call. And that way we can keep that open line of communication.
Well, I would say that what most of our customers are doing is, yes, they're installing it on every computer they service for free, but they're also upselling the upgrades. So we have upgrades that techs can purchase and resell, basically. Monitoring, which is 50 cents per device per month, and managed antivirus, which we talked about earlier, which is $2. So what we're seeing is people create these packages. We have an example on our website if people want to check that out on the Kabuto page. One of our customers, Paul Hart, does this. What he does is he sells the monitoring for $5 a month to his residential clients. So he's making $450 in profit a month. And then if they want managed antivirus, he charges them $10. So that includes both monitoring and managed antivirus. So in that case, he's making $850 in profit per month. We've seen some customers in more like affluent neighborhoods charge $19 for the combo. I've seen somebody charge $49 for a 3-pack of the combo, which is a lot of profit. So, you know, they have like some family pack or something and they charge $49 a month, and all they really do is click a couple buttons and install antivirus and monitoring on there.
Great.
So, yeah, I would say it's all over the board. People are very creative about it. Like I mentioned before, there's the, you know, lower tier RMM solution, which is kind of a different pitch, and that's done to businesses.
Okay. Now, as far as monitoring, because I know a lot of people are going to ask about that, what types of things does it monitor? And obviously, when it's monitoring, this is what everybody does, is it's usually Windows features that are giving you what's going on within the operating system.
Right. So it monitors a lot of different things: hard drive health, capacity on the drive, defragmentation checks. Do they have an antivirus? Do they have a firewall? Various things like that. Driver issues. But then it also gives you a list of all the applications that are installed on the computer, services that are running. Um, there's one more thing. What's running on startup? So eventually patch management will be in there. We're going to put in the ability to manage services and all the other things that I've mentioned. You'll eventually be able to perform actions like cleaning up the computer or running a malware scan, those kinds of things.
Okay, very cool. So as far as now, obviously MCSoft, you're working with them. Now, are they integrated into the system, or is it like a outside monitoring of their software on the system? How's that work?
No, it's completely integrated. So
Okay.
you don't actually have to ever install MCSoft or do anything. All you do is you install Kabuto like you normally do. On your online dashboard, you just click enable managed antivirus. And then on the next sync, it will install MCSoft for you and start managing it. So it makes sure it's up to date. It collects all the scan logs and makes sure there's no malware and notifies you if there is. It makes sure that all the features are enabled. Sometimes people disable their surf protection for some reason, and it'll just automatically enable it for you on the next sync. So it just makes sure everything is running and up to date, and you get notifications when something goes wrong.
Okay, great. So if let's say now, obviously MCSoft is going to, and I'm asking because they all work pretty much the same. It's going to run a weekly scan or daily scan or whatever you set it up for, correct?
Yeah, so they automatically do run scans, but we have the ability for you to basically choose your own schedule. So you can do daily, weekly, monthly, or you can click custom and then it'll use whatever MCSoft already has configured.
So you have complete control over the antivirus, anti-malware with MCSoft inside of Kabuto as your monitoring tool.
Yeah, it's very easy to set up. It's like I said, just one click.
Nice. That's awesome. Again, I think you guys have brought, again, same thing with TechSuite and TechWaroo and all that. I think you guys have brought a simplistic solution that a lot of people need, and you guys are thinking about it the right way. Because I think a lot of people they try to throw too much in there, and then they find that there's a bunch of stuff that doesn't work. And you've got all these people complaining, hey, this doesn't work, this broke, that broke. And I think the simpler you keep it for the main things, and it sounds like you guys are hitting all the main things that most people need, even inside a business. I mean, I can't imagine some other things that, I mean, maybe there's certain type of reporting and certain things that people need for different compliances and stuff like that. And this wouldn't be a solution for that. But I think for as far as keeping the computer protected and taken care of on a regular basis, I think that's key to mitigating them having problems and you knowing about it either before it happens or as it's happening.
Yeah, I completely agree. When we first started RepairTech in 2011, what we did was we interviewed like 45 shops in our county. And since then, we've interviewed many, many, many more. And it was kind of funny. In the beginning, people told us they wanted to be able to configure everything. And when we first built out our suite, there was just a lot of things you could configure. And what we slowly realized was techs don't really actually want to configure anything. They think they do because they don't trust the applications they're normally using.
Right.
And therefore they want to know what's going on. But if we build software that they trust, then they're okay and actually prefer it to be simple and plug and play. And so when we build the software now, what we do is we first talk to techs a lot and make sure that what we're building is what they want. And then we're free because we've done that to make it as simple. So for example, if you go look at other RMM solutions, there are all kinds of things that you can configure and all that stuff. And the end result of that is, yes, they're very configurable and far more suited for an enterprise environment, for example. where you need that level of configurability because you have servers and you have special firewalls and all kinds of, privileges and whatever. But for the Soho and small business and residential, you really don't need those things for the most part. And plug and play is far more valuable. So we kind of just realized that we don't care about enterprise. Like, there are good solutions that are built out and fine for that environment. So we're just going to focus on this solution for you to sell to the residential and Soho markets. So yeah, simplicity is important. I think you had a second part of your comment, but I don't remember what it was though.
Oh, you're expecting me to remember? Do you realize how old I am?
You're like 20.
I don't remember what I had for dinner, man. Come on. No, I can't remember. We were talking about and just keeping it simple. And I think it's, like I said, I just think it's a great solution for what's needed out there for most case scenarios. And now even thinking about it, about what we talk about on our call-in show and all that on a regular basis, you've got these other things out there like, sonic walls for a firewall and all that kind of stuff that's configurable to keep the network clean and all that kind of stuff. And really down at the workstation level, you just need to know if there's some errors of sorts, which, again, Windows does a pretty good job of letting you know when there's something wrong, and it'll let you know, or it'll log it and all that kind of stuff. Now you've got a tool that can actually pull that information and give you a heads up again on what the customer is going to need, and hopefully help the customer before they actually are in a world of trouble. Because I've said this before too, is people don't bring in their broken computers until they absolutely cannot use them. Whether their browser is broken, the hard drive is so slow, or something's going on with the hard drive. But it's literally got to be, I can't connect to the internet. And that's usually that time when they go, hey, I need this fixed. And you say, right, well, how long have you been dealing with this? Oh, about 6-8 months. Seriously? Really? And I get on some of these machines and I just, and then I turn around and get on my machine and I go, I don't know how people do it, because I would rather stick a fork in my eye than actually deal with that machine. But that's what we do.
The most mind-blowing thing is when there's some fake antivirus thing and it installed all these other viruses, and you look at their desktop and there are like 1,000 pop-ups. Oh, yeah. And you ask them, like, how did you use your computer for the last month? And they're like, well, I just clicked that button and then that button. It's like they memorized some kind of like locksmith method to just get to the browser, which is of course Internet Explorer 8. And yeah, that blows my mind.
It is. It's crazy what people do. So you guys are coming up with some great solutions to really help that with the malware removal, obviously maintenance. Now, as far as some of I know we talked about malware removal as far as the TechWaru with your new using a new technology. Now, as far as some of the programs that are, because a lot of times what happens is viruses and malware will mess the system up. And then we've got to figure out, okay, so what Windows functions do I need to go in and repair to make this an operable machine? Now, right. Obviously right now you guys have gotten all that stuff built in. There's a lot there. You can customize it and do it however you want. So still a great product as far as that goes. But what are some of the things that you're looking? Because you said you're going to cut down on the tools for the malware detection and cleanup and all that kind of stuff. What about the maintenance side?
On the maintenance side, we're going to have a lot of the same stuff, but rather than using third-party tools, we're going to build it ourselves. We really didn't like having to depend on other vendors for functionality that was really simple. So a good example is like networking stuff, right? Like after you have a malware infection, or a lot of other things can cause this too, but you want to reset your WinSock, and there's all these other random things that you want to do, right? Flush your DNS. And right. It just didn't make sense to use third-party tools for that, because we can write them better and we can write them ourselves very easily. So we decided to just do that. And so a lot of the tools that are in there right now are going to be improve just based on the fact that we're building them, and that's going to give you a better experience as a tech. So like I said, we're not going to have any pop-ups, right? Like you're not going to reset your internet connection or renew your, IP or whatever, and you're not going to have to see a window with an auto IT thing clicking your mouse on a button. It's just going to do it.
Nice. Okay.
So that's I think the biggest improvement. Obviously, because we have this framework. The other thing is it's much easier for us to build out tools in general. So if there are maintenance tools that people want to see added, it is infinitely easier for us to build those tools. We can take a tool and build it and launch it to everybody without even releasing a software update. So that's kind of the difference. Like we don't even have to release an update to the software to give you a new tool or to remove a tool for any reason. So there's all kinds of just improvements to the general infrastructure that will allow us to do cool things like that.
Oh, that sounds awesome. It sounds a lot. I say this tongue in cheek. Sounds easier on you guys, but now I don't know anything about coding. Don't want to know anything about coding, and I'm sure I'd rather stick a fork in my eye than do it.
It is easier. The thing is, you build a really good infrastructure, and then all the little things are very easy. A really good example is when techs add their own custom apps will be much better in this. It'll be a very similar experience to add a custom app, but it'll work way better. So if you guys add 100 custom apps, we can see, okay, these are the most popular custom apps. And then we can go in and we can say, okay, that makes sense. Why don't we already have that in this list? And then we can go and release it very easily because we'll just write our own thing. We'll put it on the web and then everybody will have it synced to their version the next time they use it. So, and then it'll just be a part of the common, repertoire of tools.
Very cool. Wow. Yeah, it just keeps getting better and better. It's like Christmas and New Year's all in one day. Oh, is there anything that I mean we've talked about a lot of things that you guys have got coming up and some of the things you guys are working on, and I noticed too that you guys are doing some more webinars with different groups and stuff. I believe you have one coming up Sunday, right?
Not
this Sunday?
Yeah, we have one with Remote Support Tech Team.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing this thing with Chris Carruthers and basically just doing Q&A.
Okay. Very cool. And I'm sure a lot of people will have questions out. This will actually come out Friday.
Okay.
When it'll come out. So the audio version anyways. Obviously, this is up on YouTube right now for those that are watching live or those that will watch over the next few days. They'll have this information. So that's very cool. Is there anything else that we didn't cover as far as what's going on with Tech Suite, Kabuto, any other new things that you guys got coming down the pike that I might have forgotten about?
No, I don't think so. I think we covered it for the most part. Yeah, I mean, what are you hearing about in the industry right now?
Well, we were talking before the show, and I'm thinking, okay, what things are going on that are kind of new to us, and you hear a lot of things about Internet of Things, right? And a lot of people will go, hey, yeah, Internet of Things, it's the greatest thing since 3D TVs. I don't know. And you're kind of like, yeah, we've had Internet of Things for many, many years in different forms, right? And so I started getting on the bandwagon a little bit, and I've talked about this in a couple of the other shows, is that I bought a Ring doorbell. And for my standpoint, one of the reasons I bought a Ring doorbell, and again, they're not a sponsor, but I bought a Ring doorbell because it actually helps me in my business. And I've got a secondary computer and monitor that sits here. And when I have a customer that's coming over, what I would have to do is I would have to make sure I didn't have my headphones on. I had to wait for them to ring the doorbell. I'm up working in my office doing whatever. Well, maybe I want to play a video game. And so, because I like to relax too, and there's nothing better than a 1,000-yard headshot in a FPS. I mean, that's all I'm going to say.
I can't agree more. I can't agree more.
So I have this thing open on my monitor. The Ring doorbell app is on Windows 10, all your tablets, phones, all that kind of stuff. So when a person comes to the door, they trip the motion sensor. And so it pops up on my screen. I see the video even before they actually push the doorbell. So I'm already aware they're there, and I can take my headphones off, pause my game, go down, take care of business. As soon as I'm done, I come back up and I finish my game. And so from that standpoint, having something that's hooked up to the internet on my network that I can monitor and see, I mean, I can push it. I can be at work and push the button for live, and it will show me the front of my house from the door's perspective, looking out towards the street. So I see what's going on. I can check video feeds that are basically have the motion detector has detected motion, and so it records for a little bit. So it's cool when you get, you can see how your packages and stuff are treated when people are coming up to the door. But that was the very first thing. And then the other thing was, I said we had a boom box. For you kids that don't know what that is, it's a little radio with anyways, the antenna was broken. We couldn't get it. We couldn't get any radio stations in. So it was it had a tape player on it. It's a little square thing. It's cassette that has anyways. And it actually had tape in it. And then we had a CD player on it. And we wanted something. I wanted a digital radio that you could hook up to the internet that I could play things like Pandora or whatever type of music stuff you have. And we're Prime members. So I said, you know what? Let's go ahead and buy an Echo. So bought it, hooked it up, set it down in the kitchen. And I was telling Ian before the show, I said, man, it was cool because I was sitting down there. I was cooking dinner. I had music playing because I got Prime Music, right? Turn it on to whatever music you want to listen to. You can it just listens to it. You can turn the volume up and down by just using your voice. And I'm sitting there cooking, and I told Alexa, I said, hey, set a timer for 10 minutes. I needed a timer. Instead of using a stove timer, I didn't have to touch it. I'm sitting here cutting things up, doing what I got to do. And it set the timer, went back to playing the music. When the timer went off, it started beeping, and I would say, stop, Alexa. And then I needed some measurements. So it says, hey, I need 4 tablespoons of margarine, but I need a 1/4 cup of milk. So in my mind, I'm like going, okay. I said, hey, Alexa, how many tablespoons is in a cup? Oh, 16. So it gives me this answer back, 16. Cool. I need a 1/4 cup of margarine and a 1/4 cup of milk. It's awesome. I didn't have to touch anything. Had my measuring cups out, doing my thing, set another timer for the next thing. And it was just so seamless. I mean, you can do the things like other people do. You ask it what the weather is. It'll tell you a joke, which sometimes are funny, sometimes they're not. But, you can actually add stuff to a shopping list. So I think I'm looking at it differently now. And I think coming from a customer's perspective, I think a lot of people are probably going to start getting these types of things. And there's going to be a need to troubleshoot these things, whether it be the Wi-Fi, the network, it not connecting correctly or whatever. And I think there's going to be probably some money to be made when we're supporting our customers when they start getting these neat little gadgets. Because before, I could have told you, I don't want anything like that connected to my internet. I don't need it. I don't need the security issues. I don't need all this stuff. And now I'm actually seeing the actual real convenience of it. And it is almost Star Trek-esque, right?
I saw an ad for a fridge while I was watching the NBA playoffs yesterday that had a camera inside the fridge so you can see all your shelves remotely. And I was like, at first, I thought that was kind of stupid. But then I realized that while I was grocery shopping, I could know exactly what was in my fridge. And that's kind of genius.
Yes.
But those things are going to break. So you're right. I mean, somebody's going to have to fix them. It's not like a fridge is cheap.
No, exactly. Especially when you're buying that type of stuff with it, right? And a lot of that stuff is tech. Now, I've said this, I've done this for years, is I can work on my own fridge all the way up to the compressor. Once it gets to the compressor, yeah, all bets are off. I don't have the tools or equipment to break that open and mess with the Freon and all that kind of stuff. So, but all the electronics I've replaced in fridges and done all that kind of stuff. So I think there's going to be a need for these things to be serviced when it comes to, and let's face it, electronics are so cheap and inexpensive anymore. It's, people they're not going to want to mess with it. So yeah, it's definitely going to be I'm changing my mind now. I'm thinking that it's going to be more of a revenue getter than I originally thought. I thought it was kind of stupid and silly, and I'm not talking to my phone. And now I notice that instead of me typing things on the phone, see, it's slow progression, right?
Mm-hmm.
I will actually hit the little microphone on the Google app thing on there and ask it what I want. Hey, when was the War of 1812? Whatever. But anyways, some people get that. Some couple days down the road. So it'll come back a lot of times with an answer, and if it doesn't have a verbal answer, a lot of times it'll come with a web page that says, "Hey, here's information to this," and we've got this at our fingertips. But when you can have it automated, in that Echo, I'm telling you, it floors me because I was standing in my second story. It's in the kitchen. So I was wondering, I'm like, hey, what's the weather going to be like today? So I called all the way down there, said, hey, Alexa, what's the weather? And started listening to it. Oh, okay, cool. I don't even have to be in the same room.
Man, I got to get one of those. Sounds great.
It's really cool. Hopefully, and I've just kind of been playing around with it for the last few days, but hopefully I'm just trying things. And so far, everything I've needed or asked of it, it's just done without me even knowing necessarily what the commands are. I mean, it goes through a little tutorial and shows you something about how to turn on the radio or whatever. My kid we were at dinner. He's like going, Dad, what kind of music do you like? And I said, oh, it's this kind or that kind. And it's like, any other kind? I'm like, no. He's like, well, he goes, I kind of like that dubstep. So, and I'm like, really? Yeah, sometimes we're sitting in the car. My 18-year-old sitting with them. Maybe my wife's out doing something or whatever, and they're sitting there waiting for her. And he'll play on his phone. He'll play some dubstep. So I was, Alexa, play some dubstep. It's like, okay, and she just starts doing it, and it's like, wow. I mean, you can ask for specific songs, specific artists, however you want to do it, and it does. Oh, Audible books, that is another great one. I can sit there and go, Alexa, play Audible, and goes right into where I left off on a book, starts playing it right there in the kitchen. There's a lot of cool things that you can do that are basically hands off, and I kind of really I'm seeing the need for that, and especially the shopping list. I still can't figure out. I started shopping a few months ago to help out, and I was using Google Keep on my phone. Well, actually, the first week I think I used a piece of paper, which after doing that I said, "Oh, I'm not doing this again." So now I've got it in Google Keep, and I'm able to basically check off what I've got. So I just go around the kitchen and the fridge and look at everything I got, and I've already checked off what already is there because I've got basically a major list of things we buy all the time. And then I leave whatever we don't have, I leave that on the checkbox. And so when I go in the store, I click it off. And it still amazes me because I see people in the store, man, they got crumpled up pieces of paper and they pulling the pen out and it's like, I'm like, what a pain.
Yeah, I keep a notebook and a pen. But I also have we have Asana and we use all kinds of task stuff online. So
okay,
if it really comes down to it, it goes online.
Exactly. Well, it's the convenience of having that stuff. I can share those lists. So if my wife needs something, she can add something to it, or I can add something to her list. And so it's always there. And it's that what they call continuity between couples and households and stuff. So, a lot of cool stuff. But I'm starting to slowly change my mind on some of that stuff and thinking that so far the stuff's working. But my first Ring doorbell, I had to do a little bit of troubleshooting on it. And so, I mean, I had to, it was a wired one. So I wired it up to my actual doorbell. I had to add this little thing. It's not hard, but I think a lot of times people that just don't want to mess with that stuff, they're just going, hey, I just want it installed. And I want you to hook it up to my network and hook it up to my phone. So I think that's
I set it up with my mom, smoke alarms and security cameras, and it's super cool how it all just interacts with each other, and very easy to do. Some of it's horribly made, I have to say that. Some of it is just horribly made. They try to fit it in this like nice little package, but it just doesn't work. And that's the problem when you abstract it too much and it doesn't work, then it's kind of hard to troubleshoot. But the well-made stuff is really good.
Yeah.
And it's fun to set up too, at least for me. I'm sure if you do it 1,000 times, then it's not fun anymore, but.
Right. Yeah. You know, it's funny because I don't like setting up things for myself. It's because it's kind of a nuisance and I could be doing other things. So when I have to, it almost irritates me when I have to set up something for myself. But, you know, I tell people all the time, I'm like, well, I'll set it up for somebody else as long as I'm getting paid.
Yeah, I mean, I have a big problem in that I know exactly how to fix my computer and just devices in general, and so I don't fix them.
Right.
I mean, if you ask any of my coworkers or my friends or my girlfriend, like my phone is never on. I have a horrible battery and I know exactly how to replace it. I'm just too lazy and I don't care. And my laptops never work. I mean, how many times have you and I tried to do a podcast or just a video chat and I've just had issues and tried 3 computers? So I don't know. I think because I know another way to circumvent the issue, I just kind of don't fix it. So I have 3 laptops that just like sit over there that have broken monitors and you know, whatever. Just plug in an external or something, you know, that kind of thing.
There you go. Yeah, it's like I said, it's hard for us to work on our own stuff, even though we can.
Yeah, it wouldn't even be hard. I just am too lazy.
Now you have an iPhone?
I do now. I've tried everything. I mean, I've had an Android.
Well, that's your
I actually prefer Android. But I don't really care. I actually, my preference is just to try lots of different brands and just see what I like. And I'd rather have like a broad perspective on the different types of technology that are coming out than really kind of have a brand affiliation. Yeah, I mean, I prefer Linux, to be honest, but I try Windows and Mac computers all the time just to try to make sure I understand what's going on around the industry.
Oh, Linux. I hear every once in a while I see messages and stuff where people are going, yeah, I'm setting up so-and-so on Linux. And I'm like, okay. Hope that works out for you. I mean, if you like being on the phone with people all the time, that's cool, man. It'll keep you in touch with family and friends, that's for sure. But
Linux Mint is pretty good, but I have to agree. I mean, if money's not an issue, to be honest, I'm probably going to set somebody up on a Mac.
Okay.
Like you know, like we're talking typical old lady, not tech savvy, probably going to set them up on a Mac or Windows 10. It's not going to be Linux because no one knows how to apt-get or, you know, install anything. You know, there's just not. Even techs a lot of time don't know how to do it. I entered college as a computer engineering major and I didn't know how to use Linux. Frankly, I still don't know how to use Linux. I don't know how anybody knows how to use Linux. It's just so complicated. The issues you have on Linux are sometimes just so much crazier than on anything else. But that being said, I do enjoy it a lot more.
Right.
It's just not realistic. You know, I have to test our software all the time and purposely break my computer. At least that's what I tell people.
It was on purpose. Well, I had an issue with a customer that I actually moved her from a Mac to a PC because she actually had, I don't understand the whole photo library on Macs. And there was photos everywhere. And then you use a photo library. And then you've got the pictures folder. And then And and then you've got the backup in iCloud. It is just nuts with all the different places they put stuff. I'm like, this is crazy. So I had to find all the pictures on her Mac, move all that stuff over, find some pictures and stuff on a time machine, move that stuff over, and get it so where it was easier. It was actually easier to maintain than how Apple does it. Because I don't understand it. And maybe it was with the new El Capitan that changed some things in the photo library. It's just really weird. And
yeah, what those things all come down to is personally, I don't think it really matters what operating system people use. If they have no sense of organization, it's just not going to work right. So it's the same thing with, like, we talked about it earlier, task management software. Like it doesn't actually matter what features the task management software has after a certain point, after a certain threshold. It matters like how you use it, so
right.
If you're the type of person that puts 10,000 shortcuts on your desktop and then takes all those shortcuts and puts them in a folder and then, you know what I mean? Then you're going to have a harder time backing up your data. And that's just
right.
How it is. So it doesn't matter if you're, I hear what you're saying. Then again, some of my coworkers use Macs and they're incredibly organized. So,
okay.
I think it's more a matter of the person putting photos everywhere, personally. But
it's hard when you're taking so many photos on your iPhone or you're actually an iPhone and a digital camera. You're hooking the digital camera up, you're downloading those photos, and you've got all these different photos, and you're not really deleting. Nobody deletes anything, right? They just they put all their photos on there, good, bad, or indifferent, doesn't matter. And then when it comes down to the time where you actually have to look at it, then it becomes an issue, because who has the hours of time to be able to look at that stuff?
Right.
Each to their own. That's all I can say. Well, Ian, I've enjoyed sharing this conversation with you and talking about what's going on with Kabuto and what you guys are doing at RepairTech with Tech Suite and TechWaroo and all that. I think it sounds awesome, and I'm glad you guys are still moving forward and making this stuff better for the rest of us out here.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to be on here, Jeff. I appreciate it, and we'll be on again at some point soon, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Hey, next time, because I sent out this invite, I told the whole team to make sure that they're available and then come out on the show. So the next time we do this, I want the whole team, plus you, to come on the show, and we can just chit-chat back and forth. I think that'd be really cool.
I'm sure Michael's listening at least, and for anybody else on the team, you heard it. You heard it from Jeff. So, yeah, we'll try to get the team on here, and that'll be fun. You'll get some different opinions, and they can tell you how stupid I am all the time, and yeah, it'll be fun.
Very cool. If people wanted to find out more about what you guys are doing, where would they go?
They can go to RepairTechSolutions.com.
Okay, definitely check them out over there. They've got the they've got, like I said, the Tech USB. What is it actually called? Tech Suite, right? Tech Suite.
Tech Suite, which includes. Yeah, we're probably going to rebrand that, just so you know. It's a little bit too complicated. We're working that out. We're
simple folk. Yeah.
Yeah, working that out.
But then there's also a separate page for Kabuto and all the things you guys got going on over there. So definitely check that website out. Check out what they're doing over there. Try it out. They've got trials and free tiers and all kinds of stuff. So definitely do what you can and invest in your business and just check this stuff out if you haven't used it before. Or if you've used it before and it wasn't for you, a lot of things have changed. So check it out again.
Thanks, Jeff.
No problem. All right. If you would like to feature your product or service on this show, you can send an email to podnutz@podnutz.com. And I want to thank everyone for listening and subscribing to the show. We'll see you next time on Podnutz, the Computer Repair Podcast.